The Science of Personal Growth by Rohn. It's not what happens in the world that determines the major part of your future. What happens, happens to us all. The key is what you do about it. Whether you're on your way to achieving your goals or you've already gotten there, you'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be right now. Accepting responsibility is one of the highest forms of human maturity. A willingness to be accountable, to put yourself on the line, is really the defining characteristic of adulthood. Once we understand and accept the truth, the promise of the future is freed from the shackles of deception, starting the process of change. Of all the things Mr. Schoaf taught me, the biggest challenge for me was personal development. It was hard to give up my old blame list. I was so comfortable blaming my shortcomings on the government, my negative relatives, the company, unions, the economy, interest rates, prices, and every other imaginable circumstance. It was quite a transition for me to change from blaming everyone and everything else to taking responsibility for my life. But Mr. Schoaf made me realize the importance of making that transition with a simple statement. He said, "It's not what happens in the world that determines the major part of your future. What happens, happens to us all. The key is what you do about it." He encouraged me to start the process of change, to do something different in the following 90 days than I had done in the previous 90 days. And I'm asking you to do the same. Whether it's picking up a book, starting a new health discipline, improving your relationship with your family. Whatever it is, however small the action, you need to start the process. Mr. Schoaf then gave me another secret to success when he said, "All that you have at the moment, Mr. Rohn, you've attracted by the person you are." Once I began to understand this principle, it explained so much. Mr. Schoaf continued, "Mr. Rohn, you've only got pennies in your pocket. You've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling, and you're behind on your promises. Here's how that occurred: misfortune has taken place because of the kind of person you are." I said, "Well, how can I change all that?" He answered, "If you will change yourself, everything else will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside, all you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more." And then he said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish that you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Start making these personal changes, and it will all change for you." He was absolutely right. Preparing yourself mentally. Picture for a moment a little wildebeest in Africa. Do you know how much time it has after birth to learn how to run with the pack so it's not eaten by the lions? A few minutes. As soon as the little wildebeest is born, it tries to stand up. When it falls down, its mother nudges it and gets it to stand back up. Then it falls back down. Finally, on little shaky legs, it tries to nurse. The mother pushes it away. She moves so it can't nurse. Why? She's sending a message: you can't nurse now. You've got to develop some strength, or the lions will get you. You've got to get these legs strong. We don't have much time. How long does this process take for a human baby? As a parent of grown children, I'm still not sure. It's unbelievable the amount of time it takes for personal development, for spiritual development, for physical development. But there's something else that takes time, and that's your mental development. Feeding the mind. Some people read so infrequently that they've got rickets of the mind. They couldn't give you a good, strong argument as to their own personal beliefs. Here's one of the challenges we have to face as parents: getting our kids ready to debate today's major life issues. They've got to develop their own well-informed opinions. You can help them do just that, but only if you first commit to doing it yourself. And here's the next challenge: you've got to be able to defend your opinions. If you can't defend your virtues, and if you can't defend your values, you'll fall prey to philosophies that are not in your best interest. We've got to help our kids. They need to be well informed about the major life issues, the political issues, the social issues, the religious issues, the spiritual issues, and the economic issues. You've got to get yourself and your kids ready for the great challenge of today: to develop your philosophy and defend your virtues and your values.
The principles of self-making. When most people think of Ben Franklin, they remember the kite and the lightning bolt and the discovery of electricity. What a lot of people may not know is that Ben Franklin was one of the first writers to address self-making. When Franklin started Poor Richard's Almanac in 1732, he used the blank spaces between the crop data and the weather information to insert clever bits of moral and practical advice. I'm sure you've heard the saying, "Fish and company start to stink in 3 days." That was one of hundreds of Ben Franklin's comments on life. Another was, "Diligence is the mother of good luck." You know, it's amazing how hard-working, intelligent people have all the luck. We sometimes hear of a brand new musical group, an overnight success. They must have been in the right place at the right time, knew the right people, had a friend help them out. But if you've ever watched an interview with some of these folks, you'll probably hear that their overnight success actually took several years. Diligence is the mother of good luck. In addition to those witticisms, Ben Franklin gave us 3 principles of success that have withstood the test of time. Number 1, happiness doesn't come from big pieces of great success but from small, daily achievements. What Mr. Franklin is saying is that we must be happy with what we've got when we're in pursuit of what we really want. Too often we say, "Oh, I'll be happy when I just get that promotion. I'll be happy when I just land that contract. I'll be happy when I just have more money. I'll be happy when I just what?" You won't be any happier when you reach your goals than you are right now. It just doesn't work that way. Abraham Lincoln said it best. He said, "You'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be. Whether you're on your way or you've already gotten there, you'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be, right now." Being happy on the way doesn't mean you can't aim for great things. After all, look at everything Franklin accomplished in his lifetime. It means that big achievements come one small step at a time. It means that you've got to enjoy the journey. It means that you must enjoy and take pride in your little accomplishments. It means celebrating who you are becoming in pursuit of your larger goal. And it means doing so every single day. Ben Franklin's second principle was, life is not rigid. Within each of us lies the power to mold ourselves and our environment. It is up to each of us to begin this molding process with a final product in mind. And it is within your power to work on your goals regularly. By using your mind and your abilities, you'll soon see how much power you have to achieve your goals. It takes little steps to build up to success. Principle number 3, success is a pleasure. If what you are doing today isn't satisfying or gratifying, guess what? You're really not successful. If you are not fulfilled with what you are doing today, you cannot possibly be successful. It doesn't matter how many worldly possessions you own, how many cars, how Many toys, how much money? If you are not happy with your life as it is, you cannot be successful. I know that success is a relative term. It means different things to different people. To a school kid, success may mean a star on his latest test. To a homemaker, it probably means having a well-run household and a wonderful family. To a businessperson, it's most likely the thrill of closing a major contract, the pride in accepting a performance bonus or being named the top-producing salesperson. But the one testimonial you will hear from all successful people is that they are happy with who they are and what they are doing. They are content, satisfied. Success is a pleasure. What have you done today that makes this day successful? Think about it. Write it down. If at the end of each day you can jot down the things that have made it a good day, you will soon see patterns forming. This really is a good habit to get into. When you can see a pattern of pleasure, you'll know you're on the road to success. So take note of Mr. Franklin's 3 principles of success. Number 1, big achievements come one step at a time, one day at a time. Number 2, you have the power to mold your life. You can make it whatever you want. You can shape it and reshape it. And number 3, success is measured through pleasure. This is the key principle. You've got to be happy along the way. You've got to learn to give yourself a pat on the back. You need to tell yourself, I'm proud of me today. You've got to learn to enjoy the process. Accepting responsibility. During the years when professional basketball was just beginning to become really popular, Bill Russell, who played center for the Boston Celtics, was one of the greatest players in the professional leagues. He was especially known for his rebounding and his defensive skills, but like a lot of very tall centers, Russell was never much of a free throw shooter. In fact, his free throw percentage was quite a bit below average. But this low percentage didn't really give a clear picture of Russell's ability as an athlete, and in one game he gave a very convincing performance. It was the final game of a championship series between the Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. With about 12 seconds left to play, the Lakers were behind by 1 point and the Celtics had the ball. It was obvious that the Lakers would have to foul one of the Boston players in order to get the ball back, and they chose to foul Bill Russell. This was a perfectly logical choice, since statistically, Russell was the worst free throw shooter on the court. If he missed the shot, the Lakers would probably get the ball back, and they'd still have enough time to try to win the game. But if Russell made his first free throw, the Lakers' chances would be seriously diminished, and if he made both shots, the game would essentially be over.
Bill Russell had a very peculiar style of shooting free throws. Today, no self-respecting basketball player anywhere in America would attempt to shoot this way. Aside from the question of whether it was an effective way to shoot a basket, it just looked too ridiculous. Whenever he had to shoot a free throw, the 6'11" Russell would start off holding the ball in both hands, about waist high. Then he'd squat down, and as he straightened up, he'd let go of the ball. It looked like he was trying to throw a bucket of dirt over a wall. But regardless of how he looked, as soon as Russell was fouled, he knew the Celtics were going to win the game. He was absolutely certain of it, because in a situation like that, statistics and percentages meant nothing. There was a much more important factor at work, something that no one has yet found a way to express in numbers and decimal points. Simply put, Bill Russell was a player. who wanted to take responsibility for the success or failure of his team. He had no reason for excuses, no possibility of blaming anybody else if the game was lost, no second-guessing. Bill Russell wanted the ball in his own hands and nobody else's. Even if he'd missed every free throw he'd ever shot in his life, he knew he was going to make this one. And that is exactly what happened. That is what virtually always happens when a man or woman eagerly and confidently accepts responsibility. I've always felt that accepting responsibility is one of the highest forms of human maturity. A willingness to be accountable, to put yourself on the line, is really the defining characteristic of adulthood. Anyone who has raised children knows how true this is. Just look at a baby. During the first few years of life, every gesture, every facial expression, every tentative word has one message for the baby's parents. The message is, I am totally dependent on you. I can't do anything for myself. And even if I try, I can't be held responsible for the consequences. After all, I'm just a baby. 10 or 12 years later, of course, as the boy or girl enters adolescence, the message to parents will be very different. It will sound something like this. Why don't you just leave me alone? I want to be totally independent. I don't want to do anything but think about myself. I certainly don't want to accept any responsibility for anything beyond my own well-defined needs and desires. It's only when we're at last grown up that the first two messages, I am totally dependent on you, and I am totally independent of you, finally turn into you can depend on me, which is the truly adult outlook. Strange as it may seem, of course, there are people in their 30s and 40s who are still acting like adolescents. And there are even people in their 40s and 50s who are still acting like babies as far as their attitude toward responsibility is concerned. These kinds of people can be hard to have around, especially if you have to work with them, but the large number of people who shirk responsibility can also provide opportunities for you. If you decide to be one of the few who embraces responsibility, you can lead and you will deserve to lead. Churchill said, "Responsibility is the price of greatness." And in my opinion, it's really a rather small price to pay. Increasing your value to the marketplace. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. That is a simple statement of economics. We don't get paid for the number of hours we work, we get paid for value. Since that's true, is it possible to become twice as valuable and make twice as much money in the same amount of time? The answer is, of course. Could you become 3 times more valuable than you are right now and make 3 times as much money in the same time? The answer is, of course. Could you become 20 times more valuable than you are right now to the marketplace and make 20 times as much money in the same time? The answer is, of course.
Becoming successful in America is like climbing a ladder. This ladder starts at minimum wage and reaches all the way to $200 million a year. And more. Why would the marketplace pay someone only minimum wage? The answer is, he or she is not very valuable to the marketplace. That person might be a valuable sibling, a valuable member of the family, a valuable member of the church, or a valuable citizen of the country. Of course, he or she is valuable in the sight of God. We're all of equal value in the sight of God. But if you're not very valuable to the marketplace, you won't earn much money. Why would the marketplace pay someone $50 an hour? The answer is, evidently, he or she must be that valuable to the marketplace. Why would the marketplace pay someone $500 an hour? Evidently, he or she must be that valuable. Why would a company pay one person $200 million for a year's work? Evidently, this person must be very valuable. Would any company pay one person $200 million? The answer is yes. If that person helped a company make $4 billion, they would be more than happy to give him or her $200 million a year. You can learn to increase your value to the marketplace. Mr. Schoaf taught me how to climb this ladder, and here's what he said: work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That bit of economic philosophy changed my life. Up until the age of 25, I worked hard on my job and made a living. Starting at age 25, I worked hard on myself, and I made a fortune. And I learned a valuable lesson: success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract because of the person you become. What you pursue usually eludes you like the butterfly you can't quite catch. But if you want to be successful, you must attract success by developing the skills and the appropriate mindset. What you learn about the marketplace and its goods and services, that's what's valuable. The key to getting paid very well in the marketplace is to develop very valuable skills. The promise of the future. Let me tell you what I think messes up the mind the most: doing less than you can. It causes all kinds of psychic damage. Being less than you can be, trying less than you can try, somehow damages your mind, your self-image. Here's what I've discovered: the minute you turn this cycle around and start motivating yourself, you'll see immediate rewards. Maybe not monetary ones. Not yet. But it's how you feel about yourself that's of the greatest value. Discover all you can do. See how much you can earn, how much you can share, how much you can start, how much you can finish, how far you can reach, and how far you can extend your influence. Some people out there would have us believe that positive affirmation is more important than activity. Instead of doing something constructive to change their lives, they would have us repeating slogans and canned affirmations like, every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better. Well, improving our lives doesn't just happen with wishful thinking. Getting better and better only happens with the discipline of doing better and better. Discipline is the requirement for progress. And affirmations without discipline are, in all reality, delusions. Affirmations can be effective as long as you remember two very important rules. Number 1, you should never allow affirmation to replace action. Feeling better is no substitute for doing better. And number 2, whatever you choose to affirm must be the truth. If the truth happens to be that you're broke, the best affirmation would be to simply say, I'm broke. Face it. Accept it. Be responsible for it. And change it. By admitting that you're broke, by saying it out loud, you'll probably be disgusted enough to start thinking about how to change the situation. Anyone saying I'm broke with any conviction will most likely be motivated to take action. Confronting harsh realities has an incredible effect. Confronting the truth and then disciplining yourself, instead of failing to take responsibility, inevitably leads to positive change. Reality is always the best beginning. You see, within reality lies the possibility to create your own personal miracle. And the power of faith starts with reality. If you can bring yourself to state the truth about a situation, then, as the saying goes, the truth will set you free. Here's another old saying. Faith isn't faith unless it's all you're holding on to. If your life and your circumstances have resulted in a situation that is ugly, call it ugly. If you've lost it all, admit that you've lost it all. Be responsible for it. And if faith is all you've got left, use it. Create your own personal miracle. Once you understand and accept the truth, the promise of the future is freed from the shackles of deception. Once you accept the truth, the promise of the future will pull you forward.
Maintaining the physical. Ancient scripture says, treat your body like a temple. That is excellent advice. Treat your body like a temple, like something you take extremely good care of. Not a woodshed, a temple. And here's why. The mind and the body work together. You've got to have both functioning well. Here's one of the best ways I've come to look at the connection between the two. Your body needs to be a good support system for the mind and the spirit. Your body must support you with the strength, energy, power, and vitality to take you wherever you want to go. Here's a major part of success: vitality. Some people don't do well simply because they don't feel well. Feeling well is a personal responsibility. You need to take care of the temple. Cherish it. Ancient scripture says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's a sad combination. It's hard to think of a much more pitiful combination than a willing spirit and a weak body. You wake up in the morning and the mind says, let's go get him. And the body says, I can't even get out of bed. So you have a conversation with yourself, and the mind says, that's the last time you're going to fail me. Don't give me the excuse that you can't get out of bed. I'll drive you to your knees to do push-ups until you're exhausted. I've got these plans for fortune and enterprise. And there's one thing that I'm going to demand: a strong, unbelievably powerful support system. And from now on, I'm going to have a support system that'll take me wherever I want to go. It will support me with power, vitality, strength, and zest. Anything less than that, I will not settle for. I'm telling you, it's so important to take care of your physical self. Be conscious of your support system. Be conscious of yourself. But don't be self-conscious. Don't work on it too much. You don't have to spend 6 hours a day to have a good support system. 30 minutes to an hour a day, and you can have a strong, healthy body. What is adequate exercise? You can do just a few simple things. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. When you're looking for a parking space, don't look for one that's right by the front door. Park a block away and get in a little bit of exercise. Pick the exercise program that'll work for you, one that you'll perform, one that won't bore you or hurt you. If you don't like to jog, if your joints can't handle it, go for a walk. If you don't like to walk, take up swimming half a mile a few times a week. If you don't like exercise that seems like exercise, get into a sport like tennis, racquetball, basketball, or softball. You don't have to do too much, just enough to give your body a good workout. Here's what else happens when you participate in a regular exercise program. You just plain feel better in both body and mind. It's kind of a paradox, but the more physical activity you do, the less sleep you need, and the better your mind works. We've all heard of the runner's high. Well, it's not just a myth. 20 to 30 minutes of sustained activity starts releasing endorphins into your bloodstream. And endorphins are your body's natural version of morphine. No wonder they call it a runner's high. Take care of your physical health so you can achieve your goals. You will then have the muscle, strength, and vitality to take you wherever you want to go and accomplish whatever you want. Develop a good exercise program, and you can make all your dreams come true. Taking care of the temple. My mother studied health and lived to pass what she learned along to me, my father, my children, and my grandchildren. What a legacy that was. Learning to take care of yourself is one of the most important lessons in life. Some people don't do well because they don't feel well. They've got the gifts, they've got the skills. Maybe they just haven't taken care of themselves. They don't have the vitality. If you want to avoid that unhappy situation, you need to take care of yourself. I know a man who raises race horses. He's so careful how he feeds his horses that they get everything they could possibly need. And because of that extreme care, these are magnificent animals. They can run like the wind. But you ought to see this guy. After 10 steps up a flight of stairs, he's out of breath. His horses can run like the wind, and he can hardly make it up the steps. The guy takes care of his animals better than he takes care of himself. Would you want that said about you? All it takes is a few minutes a day. A small study of exercise and nutrition, a little more focus, and you can have the good health that you deserve. Thanks for watching. Please, if you like the video, subscribe for more content like this.